Welcome everybody, my name's Matt Welsh and this is my wife Emily.
Hi.
We're from Cargill, Ontario, and we're owners of Priest Welsh Clydesdales. So we had this crazy idea that we would do a YouTube channel with 3 little kids running around and a bunch of horses.
So as Matt said, we're both third generation breeders. Matt grew up in Petrolia, Ontario, where his grandfather had horses and his parents had horses. His parents still do have Clydesdale horses, but they live near us now outside Paisley. And
Lucky us.
and my parents live in Minnesang on the original family farm where my grandfather had Clydesdales too. And they still breed and raise Clydes. So I guess you could say it's in our blood. Matt and I actually met showing Clydesdales. I guess Rockton would have been the first one, and then we showed against each other at a few, like the Royal. We dated very briefly, and then got back together in 2012.
She couldn't stay away.
No, I think it's the other way around. And then in 2013, we purchased our first farm in Coldwater, Ontario.
And then shortly after that, I guess it'd be 6 years, but it seemed to go by pretty fast. We both had 2 mares each we started with, and bought and sold a bunch of horses, and slowly, I think when we left Coldwater, we had 12 horses. And then today, I think there's 15 in the barn. So we slowly got up there. We sold a lot of horses we didn't necessarily want to sell at the time, and but that's kind of the way that we got ahead. And when you're starting out and you just kind of doing it on your own, it takes a lot, and that's just how we went about it.
Don't really have a choice, right? You have to sell some to get ahead, or in our case, I think like one example I can think of is we had this really nice filly foal that we had to sell because we needed a stud at the time. So you just have to make those sacrifices sometimes.
Yep.
But in Coldwater, we had a lot of great memories. We got married. We had 3 kids. We had Tucker, who will be 6 this year, and our twin boys, who will be they'll be 4 in April. But Matt was actually working at the Bruce, and the commute was just crazy. He was driving 5 hours a day, and we had newborn twins at the time, a barn full of horses, and I think we added a puppy to the mix too, didn't we?
Yeah.
So it was crazy. And
well, we've never been ones for making it easy. We always buy, not necessarily always at the best time, but sometimes you just see that horse and you gotta have it. So, or that puppy. We saw that puppy and we had to have it. So
I guess so. So that's why we made the move, right? We
yep, came to Cargill. Big town.
We love it because like there are a lot more Clyde people around. We were kind of in the middle of nowhere in Coldwater. My parents, I guess, probably would have been the closest, and then maybe Grant Ritchie would have been the next. But other than that, we were kind of secluded.
Up in no man's land. So it's been good since we moved over here. We have a lot more time, so we started. We had some good young mares. We started hooking them, and then we decided, we kind of got crazy and decided we were maybe gonna hook some mares, and next thing you know, we became pretty good friends with Mr. Pat Stokes, and decided that, well, we both had enough mares that we could put a 6 together. So we started hooking last year together, made it to 4 shows, and we were really happy with the way, they're all young mares, so it was hadn't been anywhere in 2 years, so it was a big deal to get out, and they performed really well for us.
Yeah, with COVID, some of these mares they haven't even been off the farm, right? So it was all the people and the Ferris wheel and all that. It was cool to see. All new to us because we're usually just doing line horses, so we really enjoyed it, and we're already counting down the days till 2022 show season.
Yeah, soon we'll be hooking some young mares and helping Pat with a couple of young mares that he's got, and getting ready for the show season.
So it being winter time and no shows, it should be our downtime, but we're gearing up. We only have 2 foals this year, but we have 6 open mares and I guess 2 mares to rebreed. So
our first foal's coming in February 8th. This is our due date, so she's starting to bag up and show signs of, you know, getting close to foaling. In a couple weeks here, we should have a foal on the ground.
Yeah, and we ended up putting lights on the mares to bring them into heat earlier, like to start cycling, and so we were gearing up for breeding season as well. So we have a stallion here, but we typically like to, as much as we can anyways, try to complement the mare the best we can. So instead of breeding, you know, all 8 to the stud that we have easy access to, we're trying to pick and choose what stallion we breed each mare to. So we hope to take you on a couple adventures to some outside horses.
Yeah, and we're, you know, the first mare we got here that is going to be featured in this week's episode is Rizzo, and we'll talk more about like her breeding, you know, what we're going to be looking for to cross her to, why we chose that horse. You know, you may not agree with what we want necessarily in a horse, but you know, we kind of try to breed for that hitchy style horse, but still maintain the conformation. But
so we hope to kind of share our lives a little bit. Matt works during the week, and I'm doing chores with the boys throughout the week, and then on the weekends we try to kind of catch up. And you know, we've done a few sleigh rides this winter, get caught up on things on the weekend. Matt trims our horses. So we hope to show you some of that footage, just the day-to-day lives, and then if there's anything else that you want to see. But the main feature is obviously the horses, and we'll try and feature one horse a week, maybe.
Just some stuff that's going on around the farm.
Yeah.
And we'll aim to, we'll try to post every Friday a video, so keep an eye open for that. And
so we will introduce you to our little junior farmers now.
So, who do we got here?
Tucker.
And who's this guy?
Trace.
And who's this guy?
Teeth.
What farm do you live on?
3 votes. Kind house.
Yeah, and how many Clydesdales do you have?
8. They got a picture.
Well, how old are you, Tucker?
5.
5. And how old are your brothers?
Woody. 3. No.
Got any dogs?
Go buck them out.
You guys got any other kind of animals on the farm?
Sheep.
There's no sheep in the barn.
No.
What's in the barn? What else do you have?
Horses.
Horses? You got kitties?
Kitties.
Yeah.
And
What else you got? There's something
chicken.
else? Oh, chickens.
Have fun. Go make a baby, Rizzo.
Off to breed Rizzo. Welsh's Titan Prince. Kind of a nasty day. The laneway's blown in. Unfortunately, our laneway is a half kilometer long. Well, we've made it back home. One thing nice about Titan is he's a fast breeder. It takes longer to walk to the barn than it does for that horse to breed a mare. He's one of the few Clyde studs that I know that that breed that fast. As soon as you put a halter on him and the chain, you know, he's already getting her out. He's ready. So we're hoping that this is the last time she's bred. A few times before this has been a long heat. It's one of those long winter heats, the 14 days. You know, not much you can do. You keep taking them, keep exposing them to the stud. You know, we had her vet checked here, midweek, and she had a good follicle coming on. So, you know, we breed every other day and hope for the best. -10 outside today. Mom's gone away getting groceries. So what are we doing, boys?
Watching dinosaurs.
Watching the dinosaurs. Hey guys, one thing we like to do the next day after covering a mare live is to give them oxytocin 3 times a day. And by doing that, we just hope to rid of anything that's in there that might cause infection inside the mare. All you need to do is you just need to have a 3 mil syringe, a 20 gauge needle, and a bottle of oxytocin around. You give them 1 cc 3 times a day. So we give 1 cc in the morning, usually before I go to work, and we'll give them a cc at lunchtime, and then we'll give them a cc at feeding time. Unique. Caught you sleeping, did we? As you can see, it's pretty cold out today. One thing about oxytocin, we give it in the muscle. I would recommend, if your mare's not used to being given needles, to tie her up. These mares are used to the oxytocin, so I don't need to tie them up. So line it up, hand, and a hand up high. And it's this big area in here. Quick jab. Mare doesn't even move. She doesn't even feel it. Done. Hold your finger there for a minute. Let it close up. It's a pretty tiny needle, so they don't even really feel it. It's always not a bad idea either to keep an eye on your mare after. Some mares have a little bit more of a reaction to the oxytocin than others. This mare's had it before. We know she's good. Hey, you two guys staying warm?
Is it huge? Holy moly.
Well, come out this morning and we had 30 plus centimeters last night. So needless to say, I gotta plow out our laneway here and then head into work after. But probably before I head into work, I'm gonna check some mares and see if we got anybody in heat, or if anybody's coming in heat, it seems like. So we get often asked why we pick a certain horse for a certain mare, and we're just going to talk a little bit. This week was about Rizzo and her heat, so we're going to just talk about why we picked Titan for Rizzo. And it comes down to a lot, has to do with the conformation and what's going to complement her, we believe. She's not a small mare by any means, but she's a 17 two-hand mare, and we want to add a little bit of size. You know, size does matter, especially if you're hitching and stuff like that. So Titan's easy 18 hands, if not 18-1. He's a big horse, has lots of body, lots of bone, big flat bone. He might, drafty. Yeah, he's very drafty. He'll stretch out her hock a little bit. He's a good moving horse, really good behind, which she is too. Lots of foot, lots of hair. He has tons of hair, always has, and it's nice silky hair too. And not to say Rizzo doesn't have the hair, but it never hurts to have too much hair anyway. So we chose him for that reason, and we showed Titan as a 2-year-old. He won All-American. We took him to Michigan Great Lakes. We took him to Ohio State Fair that year, and we also took him to the national show in Indiana, where he won his class. He was always a showy horse, loved to perform, stood out. He was always a big horse, and that kind of draws us to his offspring. You know, like Dolly Parton, she's out of him, and we have Legacy as well. That's out of him.
He was always steady at a young age too, right? Like I remember at the shows, he was always checking out the mares, and everybody kind of stopped to look at him just because he was always had his head up in the air and
and I think
checking things out.
he bred mares as a 2-year-old, and
He did.
had no problem.
Yes.
Always has been a fast breeder.
So Titan is actually out of Princess Iris Supreme and also out of Solomon's Austin. Solomon's Austin did really well in the show circuit. He showed at Michigan Great Lakes, and the Perkins family still owns him. He's still alive. I think he's quite an age, like 20.
Yeah, he'd be I think pushing over. He's 22 or 23 this year, and anyways, I remember the first time I saw that horse. It was at Michigan, and I was there helping Mike and Doreen Orange, and they brought the horse back to the alleyway and just dropped the lead shank, and he must have been 4 at the time, and he stood there in the hallway while they took his flowers out and undid his belt and all that after just winning the class, and I was just shocked at the manner of that horse. And I just called my dad that night and I said, I just found the horse that we need to breed a couple of mares to. And that was the other thing about Solomon's Austin, is he was out of the great mare Solomon's Asti that won the World Show as a 10-year-old mare, I believe. She was the 10 and over class. She won that. She was grand champion mare everywhere, and numerous times All-American, and was one of the best mares I think I've ever seen in person. So as you guys could see, Rizzo was still in heat when we checked her again with Connor. Just seems to be one of those heats that's not going to stop. We're well past the 14 days, and at some point you kind of just want to let them transition, and the next heat will be better, So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna keep checking her, see when she finally does go off, and then 3 weeks from then we're gonna check her and hope that she has a good 7-day heat.
Well, thanks for watching. We really appreciate you sticking around and learning more about us and the farm, and of course Willoway Rizzo this week. Next week we plan on talking about our newest mare, a 14-year-old mare named Luculi Doyle Stella. We hope to breed her to an outside horse, so hopefully we can bring you on that adventure.
Yeah, she's a mare that come out of Quebec. She was bred by Dennis Vallier. Very modern type mare with a very cool front end. She was definitely ahead of her time. She has a couple offspring, one that went to Victoria McCullough and gelding there. They come from Jason Taylor and Alan George. And also Pat Stokes owns a daughter there that's out of the Cedar Lane Royal horse as well.
Pat Stokes' 3-year-old mare, I guess she's coming 4 now, is Bry Lil Brook, and she was in our hitch this year, and just phenomenal, like eye-catching.
For a 3-year-old, it was pretty amazing what that mare did, and
what she's capable of.
Yeah, to this day, I just can't believe that a 3-year-old mare would perform that well. And we repeatedly asked her to do more than any other 3-year-old I would say could do.
So if you have any tips or tricks for new YouTube channels, let us know, because this week's been quite the learning curve. Just a few Google moments and trying to figure out
Google moments.
Matt's Google moments. Trying to figure out cameras, and we have, like, Matt got a couple GoPros for me for Christmas, so we're just trying to figure out
yeah, we're gonna get more into that, and hopefully we got a bunch of snow this week, so plan on getting the sleigh out and that kind of stuff, and maybe go over a little bit of harnessing and stuff like that.
So we hope you'll tune in next week. Thanks.
Thank you.